makes me think about Chaldeum in more specific detail is the fact that when you played through Diablo 2, every act you went to is the exact same. Oh, we're sorry, you're too late. Bale's already gone, Diablo's already gone, Duriel's there instead, blah, blah, blah. But
If you hurry, you'll catch them.
yeah. But they said specifically they were trying to avoid that with Diablo 3. In other words, there would be more going on. There would be you talking to someone and it's more politics. There's more subtlety. There's, not just here's the bad guy, go get him in the tomb. So with that thought in mind, it seems a lot more likely that we could use these areas to talk to people and figure out what's going on behind the politics and see what's really going on behind the scenes and whether or not, the emperor here will get overthrown or whether or not the council is voting on this. So, yeah, I'm pretty hopeful.
Extending from that is something that I would love to see. I don't know if Diablo 3 is going to be a game to tackle it, but I think it would be wonderful if we saw an environment where you lose without losing the game. Because if you look at a video game and you actually chart out, like you take your gameplay and you then write a story of what happened. It would be, okay, well, I showed up here and then I kicked everything's ass. And then I moved on to the next area and I kicked everything's ass. And then I moved over here and I kicked everything's ass. It's unbroken success. You're constantly winning, because that's the only way that you're going to beat the game, is by beating every challenge that's put in front of you. And so games haven't really taken the opportunity to have the heroes lose but still progress the story. And so if they've got a bit more of that political thing, or even just use that to work into the main storyline of, oh, well, you arrived on time, you set up plans, they didn't go the way you wanted them to, and so you now have to retreat to this other area or move over here or go do this other thing, without it just being, oh, you showed up too late, your failure was already done during the cutscene, and then your actual gameplay is more non-stop success.
Variant 1 actually brings up a really interesting point, and he said they mentioned the Barbarian Stronghold. You defend it from a siege. Do you think they'll have, like, I don't know, maybe little sporadic attacks that happen in other cities like Chaldeum, where, if you just happen to be in town at a certain time, will there an alarm go off and say, we're under attack, please come help defend the city? And, there you get like a little bonus quest to go run and help defend the walls of the city from attack, or something like that. Something that, you go, it gives you a reason to explore the town more, like run to different areas, and maybe there'll be other quest holders around the village or the towns that'll give you certain quests to do, or little odd jobs here and there that'll reward you for exploring it, or maybe like cool. Hidden stashes or something like that.
It'd be cool so long as you have to actually accept the quest for the town to get attacked, because I like to, leave my computer with my character sitting in town. That'd be pretty sweet, coming back and just being dead and the town is completely overrun and tackled.
Well, I don't think they'd let the town get destroyed.
Gonna have to create a new game. That one was gone. My bad.
Actually, no,
sorry,
I would like that.
Why do I play hardcore?
Well, I would like that very much.
That's a very good point. Not just the one about leaving your character unattended, but also how do you add consequences to, like, what happens if you fail, or what happens if you don't accept defending the town? How do you punish the character without stonewalling them? Because usually in a game, particularly a Diablo type game, how do you fail? Like, what does failure mean? Well, failure means you died. And right. So it's very binary. Either you beat the boss or the boss killed you. Either you, finished the scepter and got into Duriel's lair and eventually managed to kill him, or you swore at your computer, put your fist through the screen, and uninstalled the game.
Well, there are two things that I would point out here is that, yes, this is the way Diablo works. In regular RPGs, a lot of times the intuitive thing would be, oh, we can go off and branch on this different tangent. You can't do that with the main quest series in a Diablo game. It doesn't work. It's too linear. But with side quests, you actually do have a lot of leeway room. You could make it to where, okay, if you don't accept this, then you have this alternate version of the quest. that could be a possibility if they were going to put the work into it.
Certainly would add some interesting dynamics to the game. I mean, because then you never really would feel safe, even in a town, because you're like, okay, I'm in town, I can go away from my computer, leave my character alone. But in reality, you wouldn't. It would be like a heightened sense of something could happen while I'm away, I'm never really safe. It would leave that looming fear over your head.
Yeah,
Everywhere is the Worldstone Keep levels 1 through 2. Oh no.
and as far as Ken's concerned about just sort of leaving your character AFK is concerned, well, that's just a learned behavior. If you learn that going AFK in town isn't safe because there are regular invasions, then you log out instead of, just leaving your character there.
Right, I suppose.
Everyone logs out inside the barracks. Go, Hashish. Take them all down.
Even when you log off, your character isn't safe. That would suck.
Oh, that's for other games. Shadowbane. Gosh.
Now, Lucian 111. Lucian 111. Everyone in your everyone in your caravan dies. Is that an acceptable punishment for failing an invasion or not taking an invasion? Now, what if we said, let's say hypothetically that we make it everyone in your caravan dies for an hour, and then they come back. Is that an acceptable punishment, or is that really just an irritant?
He was just kidding.
Let's hope so. That would suck.
Yeah, it would suck.
Hardcore would have no players at all, ever. Everyone would be like in New Tristram, because they know that if they get attacked, it's just going to be from, zombies. And it'll take them, 6 hours to kill their barbarian.
That would be interesting if they had towns getting under attack while you're, out in the world. Because, you still have your caravan dudes back at town waiting for you. At least I assume so. Whatever the last town is you visited.
I'm going to go on record and say this right now. Losing EXP is the worst punishment in any game ever.
Yeah.
I just hated it. I hated it in Diablo 2. I hated it in Final Fantasy. I hate it in every game. It's the worst punishment ever. I hit level 9 in Final Fantasy 11 10 times because I kept losing levels from dying. It's just the worst punishment you could ever put in a game. Going from level 98 to 99 in Diablo 2 was just the most frustrating thing. You die once and you lose 30 million experience, and that's 10% of your horrible. It's terrible. Ugh. I hate it. I hate it.
See, and these are
I'm gonna go kill myself.
Invariant ones hit on something there. It'd stop the flow of the game. Devs are trying to remain that. Things like removing town portals. It would just be an irritant if it was okay, well, your caravan members die. I'm really interested to see how they ultimately decide to balance this, creating punishment for failure, or creating consequences for failure, without it just being irritating and bothersome. It's an intrinsic problem that games need to solve, and I want to see what the team comes up with.
I mean, to me, it's a very simple formula. The only thing that a game can really punish you in is lost time. And what it comes down to is that losing levels and whatnot is a major setback time-wise if you have a high-level character. I mean, there's no two ways around it. It's just too steep a price. In the same way that a lot of people will simply not play hardcore simply because the price is too steep if you die. So as long as whatever time you lose is a reasonable amount, just like, gold loss kind of sucks, but it's not nearly as bad as EXP loss.
Well, in Zelnaga, there we go. That's actually a fairly good, that's a good point. A good game doesn't need a good punishment for failure. Maybe the question I'm asking, and maybe the question that game developers are asking, is inherently wrong. It's wrong thought. You don't need to. Do you even need to punish the player? Period. Is failure enough? And you look at a game like I think it's the most recent Prince of Persia, where there was virtually no consequence. The game saved you from death just about every time. And you could say, okay, well, that makes a game super easy, or not. Maybe it didn't make it super easy. Maybe that was just intended to be the flow of it, that it kept you moving, it kept you going, and it was an experience more than it was supposed to be a challenge. And so yeah, seesawing between all of these different things, and everybody's gone quiet again, and now I feel very self-conscious and alone and small, like
I felt
like
it a few moments ago.
No, I was just trying to think about games that didn't punish you for dying, and I don't think I was ever punished in Torchlight, but I was still bored with the game.
Torchlight was its own
Torchlight
punishment.
Torchlight actually had fairly severe punishment. They had XP loss, gold loss, and they actually gave you a choice of how big of a loss you wanted to take. Did you want to lose more time or more resource? Depending on how far back you wanted to be set. So they actually had scaling and almost equally severe punishment. You could take a heavy XP loss and gold loss for rezzing right on the spot, or so on and so forth.
You want to be whipped or hung. Yeah. It's not a good choice any way you cut it.
Yeah. Well, that brings us to all the concept art we got. I'm rolling around the idea of doing another live concept art show next week. Doing some more concept art. We got through about 15 tonight, and there is like 108 pieces as of right now. We might get more during the week, depending how many likes Diablo gets on Facebook. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll let you know throughout the week. But we're going to wrap things up here so that cast members that want to go can go, and cast members that want to stay and talk to the audience still can. But we're going to end the show for editing purposes and time constraints and all that good stuff. So, thanks everybody who joined us in the live audience and talking to us, throwing us some questions. We always enjoy doing these shows, and we look forward to doing many more. So, say goodbye, gentlemen.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, Loyal 8.
We had a good showing this week. I really want to do another show next week.
Bring up ladder reset.
Oh, yeah. D2 ladder reset. We got an email from Bashiok on that, too. If you didn't know, there's a new ladder reset.
Oh, yeah.
On Diablo 2. But yeah, that's it for this show. Hopefully you enjoyed it. We'll see you all next time on the Worldstone Keep.